Without Uncle Anthony, there is no divine dialogues.
Your information should be shared. I just don't like people, you know?
Which is sick, by the way.
When they're telling something really happy, like, I'm so happy right now, but they're like making sad faces. You're not my people.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I hope you enjoy this podcast as much as I enjoyed partaking in it. My nephew, Xavier, has his own podcast called Divine Dialogues, and he had me in the hot seat. So he was interviewing me, and I think he did such a fantastic job with the questions that he asked that I thought I should probably cross-post this. So without further ado, Xavier and Anthony Thomas.
Hello and welcome everybody to Divine Dialogues. I am your host, Xavier Thomas. Today, I am here with my Uncle Anthony Thomas. His name's not Uncle Anthony Thomas, it's Anthony Thomas. He's actually got his own podcast. And the reason I'm super excited for this episode is because without Uncle Anthony, there is no Divine Dialogues. The reason I say that is because I think you've checked me more on being lazy than like anybody else, like ever. And so I'm super grateful for that. I'm sure the people that watch and enjoy these episodes now understand that they need to be grateful to you for this this journey being started in the first place. So I kind of have this idea of what Divine Dialogues is in my head, and this is exactly what it is. It's having conversations with people that are going to provide value in some way, shape, or form that people can take from here and implement into their lives and hopefully make their lives even better than it already is. So with that being said, I want you to exactly say what you do, because I don't think I can articulate the amount that goes on in your life.
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me and for the credit you're giving me. But as with everything in life, it's just passed on. Like, there's somebody and some group of people and all the interactions I've had in my life that have made me the hungry, eager person that I am to be able to pass that sort of energy on to you. So as much as I would love to take full credit for this, that's just not a thing. That's not reality. I have a ton of people in my life for the span of my life to thank for turning me into who I am today. And one of the core values that I live by is that your information should be shared. So as you learn things, as things excite you and improve your life, you should share that. You should pass it on. Each one, teach one. It should be contagious, the things that make your life better, which is why I continually, whenever I learn things, whether it's from a seminar or I put myself into certain experiences, whatever they are, when I see that they make my life way better, it's like, ooh, I have to share this with whoever I can, especially the people closest to me that I love the most. So you're included in that.
Let's go.
And so that's that. So as far as what I do, I laugh because I just pulled up to a hotel. I'm in a hotel room right now, and I just checked in like 10 minutes ago after an hour-long flight and 2-hour-long drive in the rental car, because I'm here to raise money for a charity. So one of the things that I do is I go out as a golf entertainer, and I hit golf balls and raise money for different causes, different charities. So I'm in a golf tournament tomorrow doing that. I also do professional modeling and acting. So when you see advertisements, whether on TV, on your social, as you're scrolling through, and there's this ad for whether it's Jamba Juice or whatever. I've never been in an ad for Jamba Juice. I would love to. I love Jamba. One day. But all sorts of things, right? I'm wearing Columbia right now. I mean, all kind of different ads, Bose, these headphones. I've been in a bunch of ads. So modeling, acting, charity golf stuff. And then those are I'd leave it at that. Those are the core things I do right now. I also do coaching, life coaching, as most people know it, but basically growth coaching is the way I look at it. If you're aiming to be better than you are right now, and you know you have something in you that you just haven't really tapped into, whether it's a podcast that you've had burning in your head for a long time or something
like 3 years to be exact.
Yes, I have a tendency to want people to pull out the best in them. And I also have a skill set to help that happen and help make that happen. So if you have a goal or something like that, that you're like, man, it's just it's kind of been burning inside me, or even if it's not burning per se, it's lived in my head or my soul for a long time. I help people turn that into a reality and get out of their own way. The reason I kind of didn't really want to share that is because I've been very, very closed off about coaching lately because I'm pursuing a different thing that I'm very excited about. I don't even know if I shared this one with you, but something I'm very excited about. Yeah. I'm very excited about. And so I kind of, certain things I'm like, coaching takes a lot out of me to pour into people, both time and energy and everything. So I kind of didn't want to share it initially, but I need to share it anyway because I do coach people. But this is not an advertisement. Don't hit me up for coaching. I'm not taking clients right now. I'm not taking clients right now. Yes. So that's it. That's what I do.
So there's kind of a lot there. I was kind of hoping to go in the direction of coaching, but it's okay.
No, let's do it. We totally can.
I will say, okay, so one question that I have, this was like the main thing about coaching that I wanted to bring up is there some type of overall thing that you could give people to just like implement this one thing that could, it might be too extreme to say change your life, but ultimately build steps into that direction of changing your life? Like, is there something that you could say over the people that you've been with that there's one thing that's helped more than most other things?
Yeah. So you're looking for shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly.
What can I do to shortcut success?
You know this about me by now. I'm absolutely doing that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it makes sense, right? For anybody that you're trying to optimize anything, you want to get the most output from your input. So it makes sense. Like, what thing can I do and get the most out of it? As far as truly changing your life, the simplest thing that, simple I use lightly because sometimes simple can still be very difficult. Even if it's simple, meaning like, oh, that's all I have to do, that doesn't make it easy. But the simplest thing would be the people you spend your time with, make it very intentional. And what I mean by that is seek out people that it's like foolproof for you to reach whatever your goal is if you spend time with them. If you are fat and your goal is to be fit, be really intentional about like, doesn't matter what you do, just any chance I get to spend time with the fittest person that I know, I'm going to take it. And I'm going to make that time, not just like, oh, when it pops up, I'll say yes, like send a text message, send a call, do whatever you have to do to get around that person or those people more. That's the simplest thing you can do, where you just change your environment and the people that you spend your time with. If you are fat and you are surrounded over and over and over by someone that's really fit, and then someone else that's really fit, and then someone else that's really fit, eventually the pain you feel, and every time you're around that person of your body, because you're like, oh, I have wanted to be fit, but like, I just haven't really made it happen. Every time you go to reach for a food, you're second guessing yourself, and you look over at them and you're like, oh, they're not going for that cookie. I'm not going to go for that cookie. And then you start seeing the things that they're doing, like, whoa, like they're taking the stairs here, but there's an elevator right there. And in every little aspect, you're going to second guess yourself, which there's shame around this, particularly when we're talking just this example, right? That shame, in my opinion, is a really good thing.
Sure.
Especially when you're putting yourself into that position where you're like, I want this goal. These people are living that goal. So I'm going to be around them more. It's going to feel uncomfortable because what has felt comfortable has given you the body that you have, right? So that's the simplest thing, is to intentionally make time to get around the people that have the thing that you want or live the way that you want, whatever that is. So I use fitness or your body as an example, but the same could be true for business. The same could be true for literally anything, right? Your pursuit of your relationship with God, your relationship with God is very different from the next person and the next person and the next person. But that doesn't mean you can't get around people who are on fire for cultivating their relationship with God. So if that's your pursuit, then make it an intentional thing to spend more time with people that are doing that.
Yeah. I think that I didn't necessarily have a specific idea of what you were going to say, but it ties a lot into what my pastor and I have been talking about on the other podcast that I do for my church. I ask him all the time, like very broad questions of like, what are some ways that I can be held accountable with Jesus, or what are some ways that I can make sure that my relationship with Jesus stays at an all-time high? And almost the overwhelming answer is community. And I think that's what's so beautiful about not just like the Bible and religion and all this kind of stuff, but the sense of community. I feel like I felt it more in religious spaces because that's where like I've planted myself in the last, but it almost seems super emphasized in that. And then I see it out in other places that has nothing to do with religion, like business, like you go to a seminar and it's just filled with business people. I've never been to a seminar, but they seem cool. But
Oh, sorry to cut you off. I just went to another seminar. I've been to quite a few. I went to another seminar just 8 days ago. I finished it. It was Tony Robbins' Life Mastery. I've been to Tony Robbins seminars before, different ones, and the Life Mastery is really about your physical, taking care of your body and things like that, your health, your overall health. And one thing that I'll do for your listeners too is if they go to any one of my social channels, Instagram is usually the best way to go, or YouTube. Just leave a comment, like Life Mastery notes or something like that, and I'll send them my notes from this for completely free. This is over $3,000 for the seminar, and I'll give them my notes for free. Same for yourself too. I'll share those with you, or I'll just share the link with you, and you can put it in the notes here for your listeners.
I'll put it in the description or something.
Yeah. To where it'll just be a link to a Google Doc with my notes, a copy of it that they can view and take that copy and run with it. But to your point, the seminars and things like that, like one of the things that I get out of repeatedly going to different seminars, even if it's like, especially this one, I was like, I'm pretty healthy. Like overall, physically, that's one of the areas of my life I felt pretty good about. I'm not going to have like big epiphany moments in this. I don't expect to anyway. It would be awesome if I did, but I feel pretty good, and I had several wild epiphany moments. And, man, I seriously, one of the big takeaways that I got out of that of my time there is that I am who I am, which is odd. It's crazy. It's not for everybody. It's very different but that's just who I am. And I need to stop downplaying that and playing small to make other people feel comfortable and whatever that may be. I am who I am. And also when I get around people like this in these seminars and I'm doing crazy stuff, jumping around, being woo, 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 hollering and stuff, like it just helps to know that there are other crazies somewhat like me. So if nothing else, I have that little boost of like, hey, there is a tribe for you somewhere.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at, is like, there's a niche in a community for everything. Like my best example is like TikToks. Like certain niches will have like millions of views and you'll be like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but millions of people are loving it. And it's because there's a sense of community and like, oh, they said something that I agree with, so I'm going to double tap my screen and they're going to or benefit from it in some type of way. So I kind of want to go back to, we didn't quite touch on this kind of, but I think it was getting there. The sense of creative entrepreneurship that you possess. And I think it's pretty insane because you have found a way to take something like golf and hitting a ball really far and turn that into something that brings you a decent amount of income to where you can provide for your family, maybe not necessarily from that specifically, but how do you even do that? Like you make a profit off of hitting a golf ball really far.
Yeah. You know what? I could relate this to anything. So we'll play a fun game here. All right, let's play a fun game. This is how I'll explain it. What do you do for a living? How do you earn a paycheck right now?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay,
I'm a cashier at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay.
I take orders, bag orders.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I want you to tell me what you do for a living in the most absurdly stupid way. Like if you were telling somebody this is what I do for a living and you try to make it sound as stupid and worthless, meaningless as possible. Tell me what you do for a living.
I put chicken wings in bags
That's pretty
and bring
good.
them out to people. Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go the opposite end of that spectrum. I want you to make your job sound the most important thing on the planet.
Okay.
What do you do for a living?
That's tough. I make people's day by greeting them as soon as they walk in the door and providing them fast service and getting them to a table and making sure that they're taken care of before their server ultimately comes in and finishes what I started.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
So obviously that one felt better than the first one, right? It's like,
yeah,
it sounds like, ooh, I'm more important. I have a better role in society and everything, right?
Sure.
Nothing changed about what you actually do other than the way that you described it. Now, we've all met the person who tries to make what they do sound way cooler than what they actually do. But we've also met the people that do crazy cool stuff, but they just downplay it. Like, it's the simplest thing, you know? Like, oh, wait. Like, you mean to tell me that you're a Green Beret, you're a Navy SEAL, and what you told me was just like, yeah, I'm just like a military personnel. You know, like that type. Or the person that's like, you know, they're a janitor, and not saying that that's not an important role and all that stuff, but it's like, they're like, oh, I am the lead director of custodial services for the facilities maintenance. You know, it's like, dude, right? But what's cool about this is they're all true. They're all accurate. It just comes down to how you want to play your role or your identity in society, right? So how do you come to be hitting golf balls for money? All of these things, the cashier at Buffalo Wild Wings, the janitor, the Navy SEAL, all of these things fulfill a need. They serve a purpose. They add value. That's what all of these things have in common. So the way that you go about this is you find a need or a void or something that would be of interest to people in exchange for dollars. And then you show proof of concept. You just do the thing. So sometimes what that looks like is betting on yourself so much that you go and do work for free so that you can then put together a highlight reel so that you could then pitch people a lot faster to where you have proof of concept, and then you have testimonials, and then you have exchange for all these things. And then you can start charging people for that same exact work, right? So for me, my route to this was I went and competed on my own, like my own pursuit, my own interest in long drive golf, just who can hit the golf ball the farthest. I competed,
which is sick, by the way. I remember going to those competitions. I was in like 7th grade when I went to the first one, and I remember seeing like golf on TV, and it was really quiet, and like they hit after every shot, and then I get there and it's tees flying everywhere, music's bumping, they're hitting a ball and screaming. I remember you there was like a malfunction on the screen, and it said that you hit a ball like 899 yards. And you just like turned to the audience and bowed, and I was like, this is so much cooler than golf. And by the way, I love golf now, but back then I was like, golf sucks, this is lit.
It's definitely a far more exciting sport. Long drive is than golf. So I went and I was competing at, world championship every year. I competed. I went to the world championship. I finished higher every year that I kept competing, as high as 17th in the world. And I took that after a sit down with the multi-time world champion Eddie Fernandez. I sat with him. We had a storm delay during one of the world championships, and all the hitters had to go inside. So we're all kind of sitting inside around the restaurant and just waiting for the storm to pass. It was like right on the border of Texas and Oklahoma, and they get some pretty nasty storms. So we're sitting in there, and I'm chatting with Eddie, and he shared with me what he does, to go out and raise money for charities, hitting golf balls and stuff. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, what is this? And so he kind of schooled me real quick on it. I pursued it, and then I went out and started doing it, and I was horrible. Absolutely horrible my first like 5 events that I went to, because I was clueless. I didn't have any idea how to do what I was doing. It's not as simple as just tee a ball up and hit it. Like that's what I
Mhm.
thought. I just show up, tee a ball up, hit it, people throw money at me. No,
Mhm.
there's so much more to it. And as you know now, having gone out with me and seeing how how things go now, and yeah, I just started going out to different events and getting booked at different things, and then word of mouth. And especially at that time when I was competing and on the world stage, it was like everybody wanted me at their events, and
Mhm.
how do I get this guy and all that stuff. Now I'm much more the picky choosy what events I want to take, because I do get hit up quite a bit for these. And then I also, so I get to select the events that I want to go hit at, but I also have more of an entertainment, less of a, hey, I'm the long drive guy. It's
Sure.
more, I'm leaning more on my acting and playful skill set, and raising money for charity that way, rather than in the past where it was like, let me just show you how to hit a ball a million miles over the
Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah. And one thing I think is interesting, and this is kind of where I want to transition this into like skill sets, is
Mhm.
because you didn't just one day be like, okay, I'm just going to go out and hit a ball far. Like you already had the skill of like hitting a ball far with accuracy, but you also had this like entertainment aspect to you of like a showman. Like I said, when you hit the ball 899 yards and then took a bow, like I
Mhm.
don't know if anybody else would have done that, but it's from like a creative liberty and showman of just like, so mixing those two together, it seems like you found again a niche that is
Mhm.
very suitable for you. So what would you say to somebody that's has no skill in terms of like they don't see it, or they're just like I don't have much experience in something, but they want to do something similar in terms of capitalize what they they see a potential in? How would you go about having that conversation with somebody?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the first thing that I would have somebody do is figure out what their unfair advantage is. So I view the world this way: every physical person is a book. I love books. Every
Mm,
person is a book. And even if you read somebody's book, like it could be a New York Times bestseller, it could be a worldwide global best-selling book, by the time you read their book, even if you read it the first day it was released, that author has more knowledge than is in that book, because they've learned a bunch since they finished the writing of that book. So if you
right.
get a chance to talk to that author, you can get more from that than from their book, right? So I think of every person as just a walking book, and just like, man, there's something that everybody's expert at more than me, whatever that
Hmm.
may be, right? So if I want to learn about the Bible, you would be one of the first phone calls that I make, because I know how much time you have spent, and I've talked to you enough about the Bible that I'm like, this kid knows what he's talking about. If I wanted to learn about the Bible, you would be one of those people that I would go to. If I wanted to learn how to hit a golf ball, you would not be one of those people.
Fair enough.
so so jokes aside, though, the first thing is like, what is your unfair advantage? What is the thing that maybe you've kind of downplayed to make other people feel comfortable, because you're odd, you're just
Hmm.
unique in this thing, whatever that may be, right? And that could be some physical thing, right? Like people that you've seen, like bone breaking dancers and
You're
stuff,
right,
that
right,
like,
right.
right. It could be something just intellectual. What do you know more about that? If anybody at any given moment said, hey, stand up, give us a TED talk about any subject, what's the topic that you would go to and be like, oh, this is the one I feel most comfortable talking about at like length and in depth?
Hmm.
That's probably somewhere around the area where you might want to spend some attention on figuring out, like, what is my thing? What's my unique advantage in the world? What is an unfair advantage that I have?
Hmm.
So I would start there first of all. And then another thing that I love to do, and I've done this my whole career since I started, over a decade now, since I started modeling, is I just like to figure out, how can I make this the most enjoyable?
Yeah.
So the world of entrepreneurship, I kind of got into that space before it was really hot on the internet and really cool and really fun and really fetishized.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't really that thing that's like, everybody wants to do this.
Mm-hmm.
When I started going, man, I really want to be self-employed and, business owner, self-employed entrepreneur, blah, 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 call it whatever you want. It wasn't this sold lifestyle the way it is now. It
Yeah.
was much more like you just had a handful of people that have these stories, and every one of these stories sounds miserable.
Yeah.
But to me, freedom was everything that I've been after forever. And the freedom for me looks like the life of an entrepreneur, where even if I'm crazy busy and I don't have my system set up that well and I'm self-employed, really right now, all I am is just a glorified employee. I just happen to
Mm-hmm.
work for myself, but I'm still an
Sure.
employee. I still, you know what I mean? As I sit here talking to you from a hotel room on a job that I'm self-employed, but it's like I'm the employee. I have to go travel. I'm away from the kids. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
still an employee. It's not like I'm on the beach lounging with my family because I'm a crazy successful businessman.
Right.
But the freedom that I have, for example, when our first son was born, I didn't work for probably 5 months, I think. And that was just intentional. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to work a bunch leading up to the birth. And then I'm just going to not work until I feel like, yeah, I'll go back to work. We're
Mm-hmm.
feeling good here. Yeah, I'll go back to work. That freedom is what I had been after for ages. So I didn't know it in the many previous years, but especially in the early years, I didn't know, like, what is my unfair advantage? I still, to this day, I don't think that I have it really dialed, but I have a decent hold on it. So,
Mm-hmm.
unfair advantage. I'll talk to you about mine, and hopefully this will help you and other people start to go, oh, okay, I see how this could work. The first thing you have to know is your profile. And this is true. I just got out of another seminar. Let's say I went back to back on these. The first one was Tony Robbins. The second one was Sheepdog Response, which was all about being a protector, right? Protecting yourself. So fighting, firearms proficiency, and awareness training. So if somebody's following you, how do you tell? What do you do if somebody's following you? What do you do if they're following you on foot? How do you fight hand-to-hand combat? How do you fight if they have a weapon? How do you retain your weapon if you're carrying a weapon in there? All these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things in that course that was important for us to cover was your profile, meaning you need to know if you're going to, especially if you're traveling in places that you're not familiar with, right? It's different in your own little neighborhood, whatever, sure. But let's say you go on an international trip. When you're traveling, are you the very confident, highly aware, highly alert individual? Or are you the individual that's walking around nonchalant, like think tourist on vacation, that completely clueless, right? Are you large and you evoke some fear in people because you have a larger body? Or are you kind of meek and mild? Do you walk quickly? Do you dress a certain way? So you have to know your profile, because then you're better equipped to be like, am I a target, or am I someone that people out there would target?
Mm-hmm.
And knowing your profile is very helpful. Quick example of this from today. I'm waiting in line at the airport, flew in, waiting in line at the airport for the shuttle to the rental car spot. And there's a line of like 20 something people. We're waiting on this bus forever. And probably, I don't know, 4 people behind me is this man. He's probably 60-year-old, just like your typical 60-year-old white man that just, kind of jovial, but he's, on a trip, maybe a golf trip, but kind of, just that little, and there were 3 different instances that people were coming over here because I was standing right at the crosswalk. So they would cross the street, and I'm like maybe 6th in line to get on the next shuttle, but there's 20 plus people in line, right? So there's a bunch of people behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So people would cross the crosswalk right here, and then they would just kind of stand and start to kind of creep into the crowd, like knowing they're going to try to squeeze in. And so I'm standing there. I had my sunglasses on, right? So I got my sunglasses on, and I'm resting on my golf club case that's standing up right here. So, the biceps hitting a little bit at that point, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting here like this, and then I'm like looking over to see, are they just going to assess this and realize, oh, there's a line. Let me go to the back of the line. And 3 different occasions, these people didn't. And so I go, oh, hey, are you waiting for the rental car shuttle? And I say it pretty loud to where other people can hear it too. And the people are like, yeah. And I go, oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what we're all waiting for too. Man. Right? And
that's beautiful.
well, get this. So two of those groups of people, 2 of those people, they got it and they go, oh, okay. And they went right to the back of the line. There was this one couple that came over, and the lady, you could tell she was still going to try to weasel her way in. And so I'm like, oh, this is going to get interesting, you know? So she's just lingering right here. Her dude was kind of lingering for a second. Then he's like, he moseys to the back of the line. But she just stayed right here, and she's kind of lingering. And she's like looking. There was a bus coming. She's like, is this it? Maybe I'll just shoot it here real quick. And so I'm just sitting there kind of staring at her. And then I like look up, look around, and then I look back. And then I look back at her husband, and he got the note, and then he's like, no, come back here, right? Fast forward, we're now on the shuttle. This is like 10 minutes later when it finally came. And that 4 guys behind me, that old, like 60-something-year-old head was on the bus, and he stops and stands right by me. He goes, man, you would think the things that we learned in 2nd grade, we'd still be able to hold on to, like get in line, right? And he goes, thanks for playing the policeman. I think it would have went very differently if it came from, a guy like myself. But coming from us, he goes, this is literally his words. He goes, coming from a 6-foot+ large statured man like yourself, I think it worked out pretty well. And I'm like, in my head, the first thing that came to mind was from this protector course. I'm like, first of all, you just profiled a black man on this bus. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, dude, that's it though. Like that profiling. And then I even had the realization, I go, you know what? I hope that 30 years from now, I don't have to be the guy that does that, but there's going to be some other young buck that does that when I'm in my older age. Hopefully society, you know what I mean? Like pass that torch. But that's what I mean. Like everybody has a profile, everybody. So if you can figure out for yourself, profile yourself, like what are your unfair advantages? For me, unfair advantages, I'll tell you straight up. It's unfair and an advantage for me, my height, right? I'm 6'3". I'm semi-physically fit. That's an unfair advantage. I model. I'm physically attractive by generalized standards. Unfair advantage.
Same.
Personality wise, I'm more vibrant, and I've spent a lot of time learning psychology to where I know how people work in a decent enough way to where I can get someone to like me rather quickly if I want to, and also I can get someone to not like me rather quickly if I want to, right? So these are all unfair advantages for me. Plus the acting skills and acting classes that I've taken that have taught me how to do improv and be quick-witted and playful. I grew up with 2 older brothers who I had to be quick-witted, and if I wanted to even remotely close to survive with these 2 growing up and their friends, these are all things that make an unfair advantage package that make me. So how do I use it? Well, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be at Buffalo Wild Wings being the first step to keeping people alive by providing sustenance for them, being the stop, the oasis in the land of a desert for them when they are starving.
Come on.
And I could be that welcoming face, and I could take them by the hand, and I could guide them directly to the food, the protein, the source of their life to go on just a little bit longer, right? It really does not matter what you do, but you have some unfair advantage. And if you could play these to your strengths, then you're going to be able to plug and play those everywhere in everything that you do. So figure out your unfair advantage profile, and everybody has it. Like I said, everybody's an unwritten book, or some people have written books. Everybody's a walking book. So figure out what is your unfair advantage and where can you apply it. And the answer to where you can apply it is literally everywhere.
Yeah, I think that was like mind blowing in a way of just simple. Like you said earlier, simplicity, but also simplicity doesn't mean easy.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about these unfair advantages that each unique individual possesses, what do you think the journey looks like in finding those unfair advantages? Because you talked about like some pretty inherent things like your height, but what about something like personality? Like how do you find that for yourself?
That's a great question. So Tony Robbins talks about if he could teach anything to somebody in the future, his kids or whatever, if there's only one thing he would teach them, it's about patterns. It's the three phases of patterns. It's being able to recognize a pattern, being able to see like, wait a minute, I see something going on here. Oh, this has happened before. Oh, okay. Then I can kind of guess it's going to happen again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything has patterns. Business has patterns. History has patterns. People have patterns. Everything has patterns. So there's pattern recognition. And then once you can recognize a pattern, you can repeat a pattern. You could say, okay, I think I caught on. It's like dancing, right? Once you got like, wait a minute, what is this beat? And once you, oh, okay, I can sit in the pocket. And then whatever it is, like once you learn the electric slide, you could do the electric slide to whatever song, right? So once you learn the pattern and you can repeat the pattern, the next thing is to create your own, to build your own pattern. Like what is the thing that I can do, that I can create, that's my own, that is a pattern that will undoubtedly be successful. So for yourself, trying to figure that out, like it could be as simple as take time, get into a blank, empty room, empty space, go out into the park, sit in the sun, do whatever, and just think back over your life. And it could be something as simple as a thought process or a thought experiment like this, where it's like, okay, if I look back at every interaction I ever had at a party or with a group of more than 5 people, every interaction I ever had, what are the ones that I walked away from feeling the best?
Mm.
And then you can analyze it. Like, what happened there? Like, what did I do? How much did I contribute? How many ways did I contribute? Did I lean in with my body, and was I physical, or was I just kind of back and subdued? Was I laughing more? Was I asking questions? Was I making statements? Was I cracking jokes? What were the things that I was doing in all of these instances where I had the best experience with a large group of people?
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do the same. Like when I had one-on-one time with people, when did I have the best experience with these people? Like, was it when I was doing this, that, whatever, right? So it could be as simple as just doing that for yourself and just reflecting back, like what were those things? And if you can identify those patterns, then you can go, cool, got it. Let me do that more, right? And that's a development. That's a skill development. That's your personality that you can work on without having to spend years and years and years. Just reflect on your life that's already happened, right?
Yeah.
But then you can also, frankly, everybody's different. You have introverts, you have extroverts, you have people who are like, I just don't like people, you know? I just don't like people. I don't like to be around people. I don't like talking to people. I don't like hearing people's voices. I don't like to see people. I don't like anything about people. It's like, great. You're not my people.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But that is okay.
I think, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're trying to figure out like, what is my unfair advantage and what are these things, not that I'm born with, I mean, count those too, right? I mean, some of the best speakers I've ever heard, they were either born with some or abnormality or like missing limbs and like incredible stories of triumph through those challenges. Or there's some, wild life-changing accident that happened, a spinal cord injury that left them paralyzed, quadriplegic, paraplegic, whatever it may be, amputees, all these things. It's like there are physical aspects too you should be aware of, profile yourself, but the ones to focus on, the ones you should really work on are the ones that you can develop. The skills to be able to speak better, to be able... If you were to build the ideal person for whatever it is that your goals are, how would you build that person if they were a video game character? And if that's hard for you to do, like, let's say you want to build the best public speaker. I want to create the person that in any scenario, any group size, any medium, whether through video or in person, in a huge stadium or in a tiny little theater, whatever it may be. I want to build the best public speaker. How do I do it? Start to think of things like that. Like, what would they have to endure and what would they have to experience in order to develop that skill set? But another way, because sometimes it's hard for people to go, well, I don't know what's right. I don't like, there's a lot of, I have this list of things that they would do, but I don't know which ones to pick, right? That's okay. The other way you could do this is to start the extreme opposite. If you want to make somebody the absolute worst public speaker, the worst on camera, what would you do to that person? What would happen to them every time they talk? It's like, okay, well, they would stutter. They would not make eye contact. They would, maybe their voice would be too soft and you can't really hear them in their volume, or it fluctuates so much, or they express themselves in the wrong way all the time. So like when they're telling something really happy, like I'm so happy right now, but they're like making sad faces. What are the worst things to make the worst public speaker? And then you go, oh, I have this whole list of stuff. It's like, great. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You could just start with that and you're going to get better. And then you could work on the list of things of like, oh, that's how you get better, right? So for business, for example, one of the things for me that's like, okay, what is one of the worst things that I could create for an entrepreneur? It's like, well, I just read in this book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, where he's like, let's say you have an office in the middle of Times Square, New York, and your office door is just left open. You have to deal with everybody that comes in that door. And it could be anybody for any reason with anything. Hey, I want to talk to you real quick. Hey, quick question. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like, as an entrepreneur, you have to guard your time. You can't just field all that stuff, you know?
Right.
So that's one way in business that's like, that's a no-no. So you can't be accessible to everybody every minute of the day, which is kind of what email is, right? Like if you're checking your email all the time, it's like, well, you're just leaving your office door open in Times Square.
Yeah.
Right. So there are things that everybody can apply this technique. Everybody can apply this strategy. So as you're trying to improve on these skills, your unfair advantage, it doesn't have to be something that you already have. It can be something that you're willing to earn. You're willing to learn. You're willing to develop. But where you are right now, you have something, whatever that is. And if you really believe like, no, I have nothing, then just be willing to do whatever the job is from your mentor, from whoever you could get around, say, I'll do that. You know, there's something that everybody's like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, no. Somebody else raise your hand. Hurry up. I don't want to, come on. Just, I'll do it. And from that, you're going to develop a lot of different skills. And if nothing else, you're developing grit because you're going to be doing a bunch of shit that you're like not thrilled about. Right.
Yeah. So I think I wanted to point out some of the things that you were talking about that maybe I can relate to in just talking about things that you enjoy and looking back on conversations being like, when did I feel the best in after or during this encounter? And I feel like this is why I love doing interview style podcasts, is because I just like to listen to people talk.
Yeah.
Like we've been going for 43 minutes now and you've talked way more than me, which is great. Cause I mean, I do like to talk, but I love listening to people and getting insight from other people. And so being able to sort of leverage that, or not even quotations around that, just leverage it to your benefit is something that I'm trying to do actively. But also you talked a little bit about having skill sets or developing skill sets. If there was 5 skills that you could tell somebody who feels like they have no skills at all, if there was 5 skills that you could suggest to somebody, what would those be?
If they believe that they have no skills at all?
Yeah. Like you're working with a blank slate.
Blank slate. Got it. First skill would be willingness. Like that, I'll do it. That would be the first thing, is that you're willing. You are just willing. You're willing to go do a seminar. I flew out to Florida to be in the West Palm Beach Convention Center with Tony Robbins and I think it was like 15,000 other people. And I didn't know a single person there. I
Yeah.
got on a plane. I flew across the country, 3,000 plus miles. I went and found this convention center. I waited in line around the whole building, up the blocks and all this stuff. And I went in every day. These were 15, 16-hour days. I walked on fire. I did all kinds of stuff, maddening, or with all of these people. And it was like, that's scary. Even for me, I'm extroverted. I'm fun. That is scary. To go do this alone was like, dude, that is scary. That is the willingness you have to have, though, if you really want growth. So the first thing would be willingness. You have to be willing to just go put yourself in situations, right? If you're fat, ring up the fit friends. You got to be willing. That is not a comfortable feeling. And you can even just say, hey, look, I don't even know what I want to do. I just want to be around you more because I just want to get my life together. And that could be enough. You don't have to know the steps to take other than that first one, which is to just get yourself around them. So willingness. You have to be willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And that is a trainable skill, because what it is reps. That's it. You could start small. It doesn't have to. Maybe you just go and walk by all the fit people. You just pass by them and admire them, and you're like, whoa, I smelled one, and maybe that's it, right? And you work up from there. And then you talked to one and you said hi, from a distance, whatever it is. Like, you work up to it, right? And then the same is true again, like, the same is true in religion, right? If you've thought about going to church, or you thought about going to a mosque, or you've thought about going to synagogue, whatever your religious affiliation is, just start getting closer to it. Be willing to ask questions. Be willing to put yourself in that state. So first is willingness. That's number one. That's superior to everything, because that will lead you into every skill development that you could ever dream of. The second would be communication. It does not matter how amazing you are if you cannot accurately communicate it. If you are the most incredible, the most world-renowned level skill at anything, if you can't communicate it, if your skill level's at a 10, but your communication is at a 1, what are the odds that you're going to find level 7, 8, 9, and 10 opportunities? Pretty low, right?
Yeah.
Not likely. So communication is massive. There are people, this is why people are like, how did that person get this job? Like, how did they get that? How did they land that role? It's like, they might suck at the job, but they're excellent communicators.
Sure.
And that a lot of times is going to win over whoever's interviewing and get the role. And then maybe they figure it out along the way. Maybe they're slower to get rolling, whatever. Maybe they figure it out, or maybe they don't figure it out and they end up getting fired, but they still got the role, right? You have to learn to communicate if you want to do pretty much anything. And you could do stuff and not be a good communicator, but if you want to do anything at a high level and you want to max out your potential, communication for sure.
Yeah.
So willingness would be number 1. Communication would be number 2. You said 5, right?
Yeah.
Next. So after willingness, I'm trying to think of the order that I would put these in that it makes the most sense. So willingness, communication, and then I would absolutely put some form of physicality, some sort of a sport. My preference would be martial art like jiu-Jitsu, but anything physical, like whatever you could be drawn to physical is going to be great. The reason I would say jiu-Jitsu is because not only are you doing something physical, but you're also not only are you developing discipline, but you're developing an ability it's another skill set to protect yourself and protect others. So that's kind of a 2 for 1 there, but anything physical, find whatever sport, whatever way you can move your body. And the reason is you're going to have down times in your life. You're going to have times when you're just not as motivated. You're going to have times when everything goes wrong, whether people are dying left and right, or you got fired, or you got lost a client, whatever it is, you're going to have down times. That's life. That's what happens. And some people call it depression. Some people call it whatever they want. You're going to have those times. And the fastest way I've ever heard of or learned or witnessed or experienced to get out of the doldrums when you're deep down dark is move. Physically move. If you can physically move and you're a good communicator and you're willing, then you'll find yourself in maybe a jiu-jitsu gym, which then builds community in a way that you've never had before. Because you're surrounded by people who are trying to kill you, but not really try to kill you, right? Because you all have this shared agreement. Yeah, you'll have the shared agreement of like, hey, I'm gonna give up with a little tap out. I'll say tap, and you let go, and we're good. Everybody's safe. There's no problem at all. But that rush and that feeling of survival and trying to survive, trying to take them, all that stuff there's insane benefits from that, which are
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So, yes, willingness, communication, something physical. That physical thing is going to save you in your darkest time, and it's going to keep you rolling when you're trying to do things in a big way. If you have a higher energy level because you take care of yourself physically, then you could do more. You could just produce more. You can
Yeah.
outperform the next person doing the same thing because you have a higher propensity to experience discomfort, and you have a higher ability to push through that discomfort. So that physicality is a pretty key one, I would say. Two other skill sets I think specific to this era, probably I would say the most odd size return, like what we were talking about, little input, tons of output, would
Mm-hmm.
be learning how to apply AI. And I don't mean just like, oh, I use Chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can learn how to build an agent, like I can create an AI agent that does whatever you need it to do. Do you need something to, every time an email comes in, scan that email and then just send you a brief summary via text message? I can create that. Do you need someone to scan 100 people a day via LinkedIn and all these other sources to figure out who's the best fit for your product, your service, or whatever it is, your community that you're building, whatever that is, and then automatically send emails that are curated specifically to that person and their interests and all that stuff? I can build that. The AI push right now, everybody's slowly, okay, yeah, I use Chat GPT a little bit. Most people still don't use AI. And even if they do
Mm-hmm.
use AI, they don't really know how to use it at a high level. And if they know how to use it at a high level, they're not actually applying it. So if you can communicate and you're willing and you're physically capable, then you could build out things that could change the rest of your life, because
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I can build these out for any business, any service, and I can niche down if I want to where I make that TikTok that has millions of views and it's a weird little niche, or I can niche hop and I can do it across the board to all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how AI works and how to build it, again, specifically to fill the needs of other people, starting with yourself, by the way. I'll wrap that up here in a second, but that would be a key one for sure. The reason I say I would wrap that up in a second is because no matter what you're doing, no matter what you do, you need to be the first one that you solve any problem for.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to lead people in something you've never done
Mm-hmm.
or something that you haven't done at a high-ish level, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey guys, let me just welcome you out of my sermon as I'm going to preach the Bible to you guys. Like, I haven't read the Bible cover to cover. Not even once, I haven't
Mm-hmm.
studied like, I'm not going to do that stuff. Right. So don't try to teach or coach or preach or take people through something that you yourself haven't done. So make yourself client number one, target number one to get these things done and experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So do that, solve the problem for yourself first, and then help other people, starting with just one other person. But
Mm-hmm.
that would be it. So willingness, communication, something physical, and then AI, because that's an actual technical skill that you can literally apply and the world needs it, could use it, and you can go crazy with it and helping people, genuinely helping
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one, I would say, man, it kind of falls in line with the skill of communication, but I want to say it and I want to give it its own space, because most of the time I think when people speak on communication, they're thinking of, oh, how do I talk about some message
Yeah.
like a TED talk and all that stuff. But I really think that the skill of, like, people call it devil's advocate, but the skill
Hmm.
of understanding different perspectives and respecting them, I think is a massive, massive skill. I would say it's underrated, it's underused, it's underutilized, it's underdeveloped, it's undertrained across the board in the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
If you can take somebody, especially in the society that we live in today, you could take somebody that goes, who did you vote for? And you go, well, I voted for probably the greatest president there ever was. Some people call me the greatest. Or you could be like, I voted for Kamala, or you voted for whoever, right? If you could take this and not be triggered because someone has a different perspective, and you could be like, interesting, can you share why? And not do it in a way that's like, oh, can you share why? Because I'm about to attack you on it.
Yeah.
But really go, man, that's interesting because that's not at all how I see it. Can you share why? Because I'm really interested to know your perspective on that, and really have that sort of opposing perspective curiosity. Man, I can't tell you how many times that has served in every arena of my life, from just hanging out in personal settings to professional settings where it's like it would otherwise be so off-putting, and instead it's like curiosity driving and then builds a crazy good bond. I mean, I'm a black man who was out, like I had marched in many protests over the years, and during George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, the movement and everything like that, I was vocal, social media vocal, everything like this. But I was also out raising money for police benevolent funds and, police departments here across the country, across the United States. So I was going, when people weren't really traveling, like COVID era, I was traveling the country, hitting golf balls, raising money for different charities. This is when golf, first of all, started to blow up in this new era of golf, because everybody's like, I can't do anything else. Let me go figure out one thing I can do, which golf's outside. So let's do it. But when everybody was like not doing stuff, I was traveling across the US. So you had a black dude who's going out to these police charity fundraisers, raising money for them, but also like speaking on my social media about like Black Lives Matter and all this stuff, right? Well, first of all, so many people are going to be off put just by one of the things I just shared. So if they're listening, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm done with this guy. Forget
so dumb.
Uncle Anthony sucks, right? Like, boo, I'm done with this episode.
You had him with Trump and you lost him with BLM. That was the thing.
That's it. Right. So this day, look, you're going to be like, oh, 57 minutes into my podcast, it just takes. So here's the thing, though. Throughout all of that, my belief was and still is that it doesn't have to be an either or game. I was both supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement, and I make a distinguishment now that I was supportive of the movement, not the organization.
Sure.
Supportive of the movement at that time, but I was also in support of police. So the whole defund police thing, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, what do you mean defund police? Like, who's going to save your ass? Because first of all, you can't fight. I know you can't fight, right? Most people in this country cannot fight. They think they can fight because they get angry, but it's like, no, dude, until you fight. And I know you know this now.
Dude.
But that's the reality, is like, I feel pretty comfortable in my ability to take on the average American. Like,
sure,
get them as angry as you want, Like, I feel pretty comfortable. And even still, I feel like I don't know how to fight. I feel like I don't know anything about fighting. But comparatively, I know that, more fight training than most. So it's like, you think that you could just cancel the police and you're going to be okay. That is very dumb sounding to me. But the way that I came to a deeper understanding on both of these perspectives, the same way with this election, the Trump v. Harris, is people had differing opinions, and I would express genuine curiosity. And I was also intentionally surrounding myself with people that did the same thing to express genuine curiosity. So I would make phone calls like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And they would share this. I'm like, cool. Like, why do you feel this way? Whatever. And I have friends and people and loved ones that I debate. And to me, I don't walk away from those debates feeling riled up and angry and full of vitriol. I walk away feeling inspired. And even if my mind hasn't changed, I have new data. I have new information to consider. Most people, what they do is they just communicate their perspective over and over and hammer it home. I'm just waiting to talk. Instead of figuring out how to go, interesting, you have a different opinion than I do. What if we played the game of role reversal? So you believe Black Lives Matter. I believe Black lives don't matter. So what if you argue my point and I argue your point? Let's just see what comes out, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
just see for,
Yeah.
the giggles, whatever. I think that is a very powerful skill that you could develop, to just be curious about and ask people when they have a differing opinion than you.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be number 5. So to sum these up, willingness, communication, something physical, preferably. It doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu and all the different arts that I've trained, I feel like is the most practical as far as self-defense and protecting others.
Mm-hmm.
You should also learn some striking art too, whether it's boxing or, kickboxing, whatever. But jiu-jitsu, I think, is more important, because if you're in striking range, you could get away. You could just run. You could just not fight. And that's the preference, is don't fight. But once somebody grabs a hold of you, good luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, willingness, communication, your physicality, preferably jiu-jitsu, in my opinion.
I'm taking that side.
Yeah, something in AI, and then being curious when people have differing opinions instead of being triggered.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my 5 skill sets.
I have a question kind of going along with that, and you might have already shared the answer. So if you did, I feel like it almost goes in with skill number 1. But the question is, how do you build those skills?
Great question. How would you make the worst communicator possible?
Make them stuttery, maybe throw up when they talk, something like that. Super nervous, voice shaky.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you have that person talk in a lot of different encounters, or in a little or no encounters with other humans?
In terms of trying to grow them, or just like I'm
trying to make them the worst. You're trying to make them the worst communicator.
Then yeah, not talk to anybody ever.
Right. Okay. So we have a good list of ways to make someone the worst. Now take that slider and slide it the other way. That means stop stuttering.
Mm-hmm.
That means stop throwing up when you talk.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out how to do that on your own. And then that means have a lot of encounters where you talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get good at talking, talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's ways to be more efficient in your development in doing that, but it doesn't have to be complicated, man. I think about this in fitness. I have a kick-ass home gym that I built over the last year. I love my home gym, but lately I'm like, I'm just going to do air squats, just body weight squats and push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And that's simple, man. That's elementary stuff. So a lot of things that I have been not overcomplicating, but have gotten more complex over the years. It's like, if you just go back to the basics, you can get really far, a ton accomplished. So if you're trying to figure out how to be a better communicator, you just need reps. Go talk to people. If you want to be highly efficient, sure, there are ways that you could do things that it's like, oh, wow, that could get you better faster. But if you're not willing to just talk to people, then you're not even going to get better faster by taking on these tactics anyway. You're just learning. You're not applying it, right? So keep it super simple. What do I have to do to be a really good communicator? Communicate. Just go get more reps in doing that. What do I have to do to be a really good insert whatever? Do more of it is most likely the answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned this a little bit, and I wanted to get into this even before we started talking jiu-jitsu. What, because, okay, admittedly, I was a hater, okay?
We have video evidence.
I walked into his house, and he was like, let's go to jiu-jitsu tomorrow, and I was like, no, it's insert homosexuality word that I don't think you can say on YouTube. Otherwise, I would say it because I don't care about, like, but yeah, I didn't think it was...
To clarify, you didn't use the G word in a way of like, oh, I'm trying to like bash anything. Like it was like the old school G word, like, oh no, that's whack. That was the use, but go on.
Yeah. So I was like, admittedly a hater. And then I got taken to a class and was proven that correct. Okay. I just want to throw that out there. I was in positions I was not comfortable with, and it did feel not straight. But ultimately that feeling gave me a sense of like, Wow, I am extremely vulnerable. Like I was probably like that 60-year-old man in your previous story, just sitting
Mm-hmm.
in the back bobbing his head thinking he's all
Yep.
right and
Yep.
protected.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, it's okay. There's a 6'4" guy right there. He'll handle it.
Yep.
But then when the 6'4" guy got to me, it was like, oh shoot. And so that was kind of my introduction to it. What was
Yeah.
yours like? How did your jujitsu journey start?
Oh man, I have a video that details this bit on my YouTube. Uh, so my very first jujitsu experience, I was training Muay Thai at the
Mm-hmm.
time. I'm 20 years old, and and at our gym where I was training Muay Thai, we had kind of a sort of not a seminar, but sort of like a guest sensei come over, from another gym, and it's like, yeah, he's gonna come over and do a little class seminar thing, and so I was like, cool. Showed up for this, and this dude walks in, and this guy is savage. He walks in. So I'm like 190 pounds at this time, right? I'm pretty slim. I think it was 185. So I'm pretty slim. I'm 6'3", 185. I'm pretty skinny. This dude walks in. He's like 5'10", and he's probably 260 of maybe 5% body fat. Like he's
Dang.
jacked. And he's also straight up from Brazil. And I don't know what he was at the time, but he was probably like a 5th-degree black belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes and does this like seminar in our gym and everything, whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And this is, none of us had a gi on. It's no gi. And, we go through, he teaches a couple techniques, we roll, and then that was that. And it was like, oh, that was pretty sweet. So he invites, like, yeah, you can come over to my gym whenever, come try it out. So cool. I go over and I'm in the parking lot and I'm like terrified now, right? Because this is like whatever, weeks later. So I'm like, my heart starts pounding. Like I'm in the parking lot because I'm by myself. I didn't like, oh, hey buddy, let's go together. Like I'm just solo. So my
Mm-hmm.
heart's pounding and I'm like, okay. I'm like, what was his name again? Shoot. I'm like, okay, what did he own this place? Is he gonna be here? What are they called when they're the teacher? What is it sensei? Is it master? Is it instructor? Like, how do I even address? Oh man, my heart's pounding. And I look
Mm-hmm.
up and like you could see it's all glass, right? So you could see into the gym, and it's like it just looks like killers are built here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, okay, you know what, dude, you don't have to go in here. Like, you can turn around. Like, you don't have to do this. And I'm like, whatever. So I over the door and I go in there. To make this long story short, my very first go. If you're not familiar with the belt system, when you start jujitsu, you're a white belt, and then after whatever length of time, typically like a year and a half of consistent training, roughly give or take, you get your stripes, your 4 stripes on your white belt, and then you get to a blue belt. And then several years later, from blue belt, you go to purple, purple to brown, brown to black, and then black to many different degrees and so on. But black is pretty much the highest. There's a coral belt, but you don't need to know about that until you're really, really in it. So I go in there, very, 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 very much a white belt. This is only my first time. I'd never even worn a gi, which is the fancy pajamas that you wear when you do jiu-jitsu. And so I had to have somebody kind of help me. Like, they gave me a loaner gi, and they kind of helped me put it on. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of a grown man, but it kind of sucks to not know how to put this on. And it already feels vulnerable that somebody else is doing this, right? And there was only like 4 or 5 of us in this class on this day. And two of the guys were in the Hells Angels. One of the guys was a purple belt, and he's 270 pounds, not 5% body fat.
Oh.
He's probably like 260, 270, and he's probably, I don't know, he was 45 years old, so he's more than twice my age, and almost like feels like, twice my body weight. And the very first like opening thing, it's called pulling, like he jumped to pull guard, but he just jumped on me, a very heavy dude, and like I don't know what to do or how to brace or how to do anything, right? And I was very close to hyperextending my knee. It like freaked me out, and then I just went to the ground, and this dude just absolutely handled me, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, this is Hell's Angels. There's not many people here. He's just gonna murder me and throw me out the back. This dude did not take it easy on me at all. I just kept tapping out. I just just got absolutely destroyed. And then the other dude who's in the Hells Angels, closer to my age, very smiley guy, really cool dude. He's actually now, I think now he has his black belt. At the time, I think he was only maybe a purple belt. And he now has his black belt. I'm still in touch with him. Super cool dude. And he teaches at this school down in the Bay Area. And when I got to rolling with him, he took it a little bit easier. But knowing what I know now, that school was like the school you want to go to when you really want to get in, like you want to learn how to kick ass. Like that's, it's not a hey, nice welcome type of school. It's like, hey, you know, they still have the martial part of the martial arts, you know, like they still have that grit of like everybody line up, everybody's proper. It's like really good discipline there, which I love and loved. I didn't necessarily love it at the time, but
sure.
Ultimately, to answer your question, my first experience was I wasn't even close to causing harm to another human. I was absolutely handled any way that I wanted by everybody that I rolled with or even looked at.
Yeah.
Every single one.
I mean, you've got it on video. Like, I was literally getting manhandled by a dude just using his feet and sitting down.
Yes, he didn't use his hands at all.
No, it was crazy. It is like still even I've probably these last couple months have been pretty hectic for the schedule. I think I've missed 1 week, but otherwise pretty consistent training, and I think that he could still probably do that to me.
Oh, I guarantee he can. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just, I think that's what's super cool about it is like, it almost seems like boxing and like striking can be so one dimensional. Like once you learn a jab, a hook, like all this kind of stuff, not to say there's a ceiling of it because obviously there's better than others, but jiu-jitsu feels like there's so much, like the pool is just so deep.
Yeah.
And
it's true.
The only reason I even like can have a conversation like this is not because I've like been to the classes, because I've just watched so much. If I had just like been going to the classes, I still probably wouldn't know anything.
Yeah.
I think I go ahead.
I was going to say, I've been doing it a lot longer than you have. And I still feel like I don't know anything at all.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you this. For anybody listening, if you are that first skill, you're willing. If you are willing and you're willing to give yourself a little bit of a challenge, my challenge to you would be to go into a gym, go to find the nearest jiu-jitsu gym and go take a class. Your first class should be free. If they try to charge you for your first class, do not go there. Go to another gym. Almost every gym out there is going to give you a free week or at least like free 2-3 classes or something. My challenge to you, if you're willing, is to just go to a class. And then if they give you the opportunity to roll, and rolling just means you're going to kind of spar. It's like, it's like you're fighting at a low percentage, right? You're not going to get hurt or anything like this. My challenge to you, if you're willing, is to go do this, because there's a lot that happens in that experience that you should be aware of. One, you learn very quickly how much you do not know about the human body and how much you do not know about your inability to fight. Two, you learn how many people out there that do not look like they can fight can really, really fight.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to know, because even as you learn and I learned this and I can do this, you're probably going to want to go out and test this out in the streets. And one of the most important lessons you can learn is to not do that unless you absolutely have to. Now, I'll give you another, since you love this story and you wanted to hear about my first go, I'll give you one very recent. This is what is today? Today's Thursday. So this was 4 days ago. I am training at Sheepdog Response, again, that protector course. and it's led by two individuals. One of them who was a career Green Beret. He was an instructor for the Green Berets for their combatives. And the other one literally taught, and he was the lead instructor for the entire army in combatives for 7 years.
Wow.
They also teach firearms and all that stuff too. But we're just talking jiu-jitsu and grappling right now. One of the dudes, Steve. Steve is, I don't know, mid 40s. He's pretty fit fella, but I don't know. I'd say he has maybe 15, 20 pounds on me. You know, I have a little bit of length on him, but he's got a little bit of size on me. But he's a black belt. Mm-hmm. And Steve has been doing this for quite some time, and he knows what he's doing. I do not. So I had rolled, our class was 12 people, and I had rolled with almost everybody in the class, and nobody, like, I didn't really have problems with anybody, right? I was tapping people out pretty consistently, going okay. And I'm like, okay, one of these times I got to roll with the instructors. Like, I just have to, especially because I'm here. Like, I want to get as much of the experience as I can. I went over to, his name's Yako. I went over to Yako to roll with him. And like, I'm bending down, like, almost like, you know, like I'm getting down on my knees, almost like, yo, I'm bowing. Please do me the honor. Let me roll with you. I would love to, you know, I'm about to do this. And Steve comes up behind me and just yoink. And he just yanked me like we hadn't started the round. Everything had been going on, a timer, a round timer, all this stuff. I'm thinking like, oh, okay, this is between, we're supposed to be finding a different partner. And I'm this whole little dance of like, hey, would you be down to roll? You know, it's kind of like asking for the dance in middle school, you know, like, and Steve he sneak attacks me. He sneak attacks me, right? There's still 20 seconds on the clock before the round starts, and it's a 5-minute round, right? So he sneak attacks me, and then I'm like trying to escape, and I'm trying my best to escape for 20 seconds straight. I'm trying the absolute best that I possibly can. And Steve's just talking to me, just in a voice kind of like how I'm talking right now. Okay. And when the timer gets down to like 5, 4, 3, and it's about to start the round, he goes, okay, don't worry, we'll get started soon. I was trying my best to get out of this situation, and he's just talking to me normal. And then he's like, don't worry, we'll get started soon. He hadn't even begun trying. Then I still had 5 minutes. That was 20 seconds. I had 5 minutes with this guy. And he just like move after move. I was trying to escape here, trying to frame out, trying to do all this, trying to shrimp here, trying to do everything I could. And he had an answer for every one of my attempts at anything. And he did it so much faster than I could even think. So
yeah,
one of the big things that you learn is fighting, especially when you're in jiu-jitsu, fighting is not about who's bigger and stronger necessarily. What it usually is, and what's great about training these things and like this protector course, is you're learning how to spot things before they happen. And if you can spot the issue before it happens, then you can get there to solve it before it arises. What that looks like in practice is if you know that your opponent is about to try to jump up or throw you off of them or do this or do that, if you know they're about to do it because you've seen these signs hundreds of times before, then you can position yourself in a way that allows them to make that move and puts them in a worse position. Mm-hmm. And if you aren't aware of these things, but the person you're fighting is aware of these things, then you're most likely already lost the fight. So the person that trains more, there's something that in the military, in this training, they call it the OODA loop. OODA meaning OODA, and then repeat. It's just the OODA loop. And what it is, it's observe, orient, decide, act. And then you just put that on repeat. What that looks like in rolling is like, I'm observing my opponent. Where's his body position and all this stuff? Like, okay, I observe it. And now I orient myself in a way, however I want to be positioned to do whatever I'm going to do or defend whatever I think might be about to happen. And then I decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to play this defensively or am I going to attack right now? And then you act. Then you do whatever you decided, right? And then you do that again. Observe, orient, decide, act, because everything's always changing. the person that closes the OODA loop fastest wins. So when you were rolling with Yev and you were like, I'm completely clueless, what do I do? Yev is like, he can move his body in 5 different ways from where I have him right now. And in each of those 5 ways, I have 3 ways to submit him.
Which is insane.
And that's the difference between someone that trains and doesn't train. It's like, know what's going to happen faster. You know what the signs of somebody that's about to throw a punch or go rob this store or pull a weapon, or you know those signs faster than the average person or faster than the bad actor. So you're able to decide what you want to do. Do you want to get out of there? Do you want to get your family out of there? Because you're looking around, you're like, oh shit, something's about to pop off. I can sense it. What do I want to do? You can get out of there before something happens. That's a really good skill to have. But if you're not training, if you're not doing all this stuff, then what if you're the hostage? Or what if you're the one that somebody like takes and you weren't even aware because you missed the signs, or you know, like there's so many reasons why you should train, but that's just a few right there. And one of the things that was shared during this training, this is the level 2, by the way. I took their level 1 last year. This is the level 2 of their training. One of the things that they shared was like, somebody asked, how do I get my friends or family to train, you know, to do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that when they're not interested. And these being career Army guys, you know, there's a certain mentality that comes with this, but they were like, oh dude, just take something from them, like take their phone and then tell them to come get it. And then don't let them get it. And then
that's hilarious.
Well, that's what everybody was laughing about this. But think about this for a second. If somebody can walk up to you and take something of yours and you can't do anything about it, what are you going to do about it?
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. Now that something doesn't have to be a cell phone. That could be your girlfriend, your wife, your children. It could be your insert the most important thing to you. If somebody could just walk up and take it, and you literally, no matter how angry you get, you can't do anything about it, well, that's the life you're living. That's how you're walking around. That's the body you're walking around. And for me, for one, I refuse to. One of the most important things for me is to protect. So there's kind of 3 pillars of, I'll just share a bit of the project that I'm working on right now. So I'm working on a newsletter that's going to be going out. It's called the Better Dad Bulletin. And essentially every week, it's just key things of how you can improve yourself, something to do, like a quick, like, hey, try this, do this, whatever, right? Improve yourself, something to improve your relationship. If you're in a relationship with a partner, or if you are seeking a relationship with a romantic partner, things to keep in mind, to practice, to do with them. And then something to build a better, deeper bond with your kid, right? One of the core principles in this for me, it's kind of 3 things. It's to protect is number 1, because whatever you have, you might not have much, you might have very little, but you need to protect whatever you have.
Yeah.
And if all you have is your people, you don't have a single material item, you just have your people, you better protect it, because they're very important. So protect, provide, and progress. Those are the 3 key pillars of this whole newsletter, this whole like being a better dad, in my perspective. And the protecting part is something that it's like, dude, you got to get your body in shape. You got to be in decent health to be able to perform and protect your family, to get them out of a situation if something goes down, to get your people. And family is friends as well, right? Your loved ones. If you're the one that can spot danger first and you're well equipped to handle it if something goes down, then good. You are a protector, and you're a protector of your loved ones. That's what you should do.
Yeah. I think that's great. Going back kind of a while, honestly, that just popped back up in my head. You were talking about this almost like getting a mentor and having somebody mentor you in whatever endeavor that you decide to go on. Who I have, this kind of might be a loaded question. Who's one that you would say like is you're there in person, like you can meet up with them? And then the second one would be who's like you've met before, but you're really inspired by them, or maybe you just like you can still talk to them over the phone, whatever. And then who is somebody that you've like never met that's like this, I don't know if you could say mentor figure, but somebody that you're really inspired by.
That's a great question. So the 3 would be someone that I meet up with in person, someone that I may have met once, and someone that I haven't yet met.
Or the second one too can also be like you don't have access to them in person, but like video calls or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, so as far back as I can remember in my adult life, so let's call it college, right? So
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago, 16 years ago, I I don't know if this was like a call it a conscious decision, but I distinctly remember saying that my friends are my mentors. They're who I look up to. So my best friends in college, one of them was Anthony Francisco. He was the best and still is the best musician that I've ever seen in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I look up to him still to this day as my musical mentor, like my musical idol. He's like my best friend. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm worship. It's just like,
Yeah.
this is a trait. His book, he's the walking book, and music that's his thing, right? For me.
Mm-hmm.
So I never necessarily looked at like mentors as this one holy grail type thing. I would sort of divvy these things up. So I grew up with a mother who I love my mom so dearly. And one of the things that is a characteristic of her profile is the whole like devil's advocate thing or understanding, that's not in her wheelhouse. And so much so that if there's anybody that you go, man, this person's really great at this thing, she will be like, I can't like that person because of this one little bit they did or whatever, right?
I love grandma.
I love my mom dearly, but that's just the way she is, right? Like that's just how she is. And to me, I saw that and I was like, man, that just does not seem as valuable as being able to see somebody and go, I don't like whatever else, or I'm just not interested whether I like it or not. But what I am interested in, what I do like, is this crazy capability that they have, whatever that may be. Let me focus on that, how they got it, how they developed it, how they nourish it, and so on. So I never really had like, this is the one mentor type of bit, but I do have people, I have a list of people that I even have my what do I call it? I don't remember if I call it like my world tour list or my celebrity tour list or whatever it is, but I have a list that the title doesn't really matter, but it's you know how people will follow a band, like you're wearing a Marley shirt, right? People would travel around like, where's Bob Marley? Oh, let's go watch him here. Let's go watch him there. Let's go watch him here. So I have my kind of rock star list of people that I want to learn directly from. So Tony Robbins is on that list. Jordan Peterson's on that list. Excuse me. Wim Hof was on that list. So I've learned directly, and I've bought, purchased, and learned directly from each of them, every single one of them. And there's a longer list, but that's just an example. And they're for different reasons. Some of the stuff that Jordan Peterson says or believes or shares, I'm like, I don't really agree with that. But I love the way the man's mind works. I love his ability to recall. I love his storytelling and his frameworks and all this stuff. There's a lot that I love about him. Same with Tony Robbins. Same with Tiger Woods. Like, I love Tiger for the athlete, the competitor, the fierceness. I'm not going to look to that man for relationship guidance, right?
I knew it was going there.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know, like mentorship is just different the way that I view it that way. But to answer your question, who do I meet up with in person that I look up to, that I admire? In business, Chris Crary. I had him on the podcast recently. We talked a lot about entrepreneurship, but a lot about homeschooling as well. So Crary, I look up to for business. He's been self-employed for years. He's a successful guy. Love him. He's still as successful as he is. He's still hungry to keep going and keep growing. And he's also the first one that's willing to be like, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. He's up for it. So I love that. That's one that I meet up with and I make time for intentionally. Love that man. And then one that I've met that I haven't like necessarily spent a lot of time with, that I would love to spend more time with. I mean, God, Tony Robbins is obviously incredible. If you've never listened to that man's stuff, this is what I love about him. It's not just that his stuff is incredible and works and it's clear and concise, and his presentation and all that stuff is so dialed. It's not that. What I love about Tony Robbins that I try to emulate as well in my life, that I so admire. Now, he is Christian. Like, he shares that frequently. He's Christian. but he doesn't try to convert anybody or push people this way. And he talks to people, and whoever your God is, or whoever your maker is, whoever your creator is, your relationship with them. That's how he talks. And for me, I admire that so deeply, because one of the things I dislike about religion is how divisive it creates in society, how divisive it creates communities in society. And what I want is I want to connect with everybody, because again, how can I even access that curiosity of that opposing view if I'm just around people that really believe and know and talk the same way that I do? So I want to be loving and welcoming and encouraging and help people of all different walks of life. And Tony Robbins, I think, is the best example of somebody that does that, which I really love. So that's an aspect there. Someone that I've never met. Recently, man, I don't know. There's a few people on this list, but the first one that comes to mind is this guy who I've recently been seeing clips of his, and I don't even know what he's known for. I've known his name for years, but I don't know what he's known for. I don't know anything. But every time I see a video of him, I'm like, man, this guy has got some wisdom. And that's Naval Ravikant.
I don't think I've ever heard of him.
Again, I don't know much about it, but he's a guy that every time I've heard him say anything, I'm like, man, he's wise. And I love how he presents information. I admire him because I've heard him speak and share things like, yeah, I used to believe this and I've changed my mind since then. And I admire that in people. I admire people who can say either, I was wrong about that, or I just believe differently, whether right or wrong, who's to say, but I just believe differently than I used to. And I admire that in people. So he's one. Jay Shetty, I would love to spend time with and learn from. And yeah, those are ones on the list for sure.
If, let's say, somebody's looking at you, and not necessarily in a literal sense, but just like the idea of this, somebody's looking at you and they're like, I want Anthony Thomas to be my mentor, or I want who you said, Jay Shetty, I want them to be my mentor. I want to get in contact with them. What do you think is something as a mentor perspective that you would want to see from the person that that is looking to be mentored by you? What are you looking at them kind of analyzing and being like, is this person even worth my time?
That's a wonderful question. First is proof of concept. Proof of concept is, in this case, the concept is you want my time because you're supposedly really eager or hungry to learn or to grow. So rather than you just saying you want to learn because you're eager, you're hungry, you want to grow, show proof of concept. So if somebody reaches out to me and it could be as simple as citing one thing from one tiny little, like you could literally go to any one of my podcasts, click at any random time frame in that podcast and be like, cool, I'm going to take that quote and I'm going to put it in a message to them and say, hey, I loved when you said this in this episode, whatever. And then you go on with whatever your ask is, because then that shows you actually did some level of work, right?
Sure.
But what would really get my attention and really make me go, dude, I'm going to make time for this guy, for this kid, whoever it is. Kid, it could be an adult, it could be someone older, it doesn't matter. You can always be growing whatever age. If you have somebody that's making content, consume as much of their content as you can. If you really like that person and you really want to be mentored by them, consume as much of their content as you can, and don't just consume it to be like, oh, I can recite it. Actually apply that stuff, because the biggest thing for me is when somebody says, hey, you said this thing, or you said to try this. I listened to you on Divine Dialogues with Xavier, and you mentioned one of the skill sets to develop, even though it was number 5, you mentioned to have some sort of openness to curiosity of differing opinions. And since then, here's how I applied it, and it changed my life in this way. When you can give an example of what I'm doing, because it's not like I'm creating content and sharing things to just hear myself talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to share this to hopefully help other people improve their lives and stuff. So when you can share an example from something that I've created of how it's helped you, and not only is that feedback for me to be like, cool, I see what sort of things are helpful to people. It's also motivation for me to keep on going, because it's not easy every day, right? And then it also shows that like you're actually vested in this. You're not just you didn't just stumble upon one video and be like, oh, hey, pick me, right?
Yeah.
It shows that you stumbled upon my stuff at some point, and then you kept going down the rabbit hole and you kept consuming, and then you actually applied this stuff to where it showed. Like, that's huge, show
Yeah.
that you're really trying on your own, not just you want someone to save you. Because I'm not here to just save you.
Right.
Any mentors, I've never met somebody that is passionate about what they do. They love life, that whatever it is that they're doing, that would refuse to help somebody else that's really eager to try to grow and get to that place that they are. But I've also never met somebody that enjoys wasting their time with someone that just loves the idea of working with you, or wants, to just hear you or be close to you and be lazy or whatever. It's like, your willingness has to be through the roof.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of in wrapping this whole thing up, which is not even just saying this because like you're a guest and whatnot, truly an incredible episode. I mean, I think we've had lots of conversations, and I feel like every time we talk, I learn so much, but this has to be among because I was asking questions that I was genuinely curious about, which I think you should do in this type of setting. But in your podcasts, you always wrap up with this, leave a message to the world. So I'm going to flip the script and do that to you. Ooh. So you leave a message to the world. It could be 60 seconds. It could be 5 minutes. Just lay it out for us. And then shout your stuff out after.
Okay. My message to the world. Man, this is so good. This is so timely. So before I share, it's 3 words what I'm going to share. But before I share, I want to preface this. I want to kind of lay a little bit of groundwork here. So my belief is, in this era where so many people are so riled up over the news, over the happenings over here, over there. I'm not even going to say specifically where. You already have somewhere in your mind, because this is just the world we're living in right now, right? People are so spun up about everything that's happening here, there, whatever, with these people and those people, with this group and that group. Everybody's fired up over this stuff. And it's so triggering for so many people. And a commonality with all of these people on both sides of whichever area is in your head right now, commonality is all of those people want the world to be better. Right? Yeah. My belief is that you, me, the next person might be able to change the world. We might have that in us, right? We hear about these historical figures that it's like, man, they really made a huge impact. Maybe you have that. Maybe I'm not going to be the one that says, no, you don't have that in you. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to shoot down what you may or may not have. Right. But what I do know for a fact, because I've lived it, I've seen it, and I've experienced it on both sides of this, is that you don't have to change the world to change the world. You can change yourself, and then change one person, and then change 3 other people, and then change a bigger group. And that will change your neighborhood, which will change your community, which will change. And that change grows and literally changes your world. So my belief is, if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself. That's it. Like, that's a true belief that I have. So yeah, I don't believe in this get spun up on the news and all this stuff. Like, are there tragic things happening? Absolutely. There are, every single day. Are there more tragic things happening with larger groups and certain things on certain days of the week, of the month, of the year? Absolutely. And I don't want to downplay that, or because those are real lives. Those are real human lives. Yeah. Excuse me. Those are real experiences that people are having. But expressing the disheartening feelings, the hatred, the vitriol, the disgust, expressing your opinions on all these things are not changing anything as far as I've seen in my lifetime. Yeah. What does change is when you stop looking at your phone, at the news, at all this stuff, and instead you look at that little kid in the coffee shop who is playing, but their mom or dad is on their phone and not paying attention, and you just shoot that kid a funny little face or whatever it is, and you just brighten that kid's day for a moment. And maybe it's that moment that the parent needed to take care of that important message, to then give the attention back to the kid. And so
Mhm.
you bridge that gap for that parent so that that kid could get the love from you, a stranger, and now their parent, and the kid totally missed that their parent was missing them, and so on. Like, that's how connected this is. Truthfully, I
Mhm.
believe this, and I've seen it and
Yeah.
experienced it.
Yeah.
So because I believe that changing the world starts with yourself, and then that ripple effect, get yourself in order, in control, before you try to teach somebody else or take somebody else or tell somebody else how to live. Get yourself, your physical body, your mental, spiritual, so on. Get yourself in order, then help one other person. Starts with yourself. So the one message that I would say, that's 3 words, and I just learned this at this protector training, which is going to be a tattoo. You can take it if you want. It comes from the example that one of our instructors gave. Love this dude. He said, we had this mentality when I was in the Army that if you had somehow made like a replica of yourself, a clone of you, but it took 30 days for it to be fully made, right? So you initiate the sequence right now, and it takes 30 days to build it. In 30 days from now, would you be able to kill your clone? So the 3 words I will say is kill your clone. And what that looks like in real life, in real practice, is if you want to be the best communicator, 30 days from now, are you going to be a much better communicator than you are right now? If you want to be a better lover to your partner, 30 days from now, are you going to be loving your partner better than you do right now? To where that future you, 30 days from now, is so much better that they would crush present day you.
Right.
Physically, jiu-jitsu, right? You were like, I missed a week. It's like, okay, well, if you miss 1 week in the next month, you still have 3 weeks more training than present day you. So would you be able to kill that clone?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So kill your clone. That's it.
That's a crazy analogy. I like that a lot. At first when you said kill your clone, I was like, what? But yeah, that makes sense. Just ultimately be better and hopefully be a lot better.
That's
but
right.
Go ahead, shout out your socials, the podcast, all the things you got going on.
Yes. Some people, kill your clone. Some people call it Kaizen, right? Constant improvement. So you can find me, Anthony Thomas, right now on Instagram at Anthony Thomas 33. On YouTube at Dynamic Daddy. That's dynamic is spelled normal. Daddy is spelled normal. Yeah, you could just YouTube Dynamic Daddy Anthony Thomas. You'll find it. And then TikTok is Dynamic Daddy. X or Twitter is Dynamic Daddy with 2 Y's. And then where else? Yeah, I'm on Medium if you want to read stuff. I'll be spinning up on Substack here shortly, and then anthonyjthomas.com. But other than that, I would say just hop on YouTube, go share some love there, subscribe there, and also join the newsletter, man. It's going to be really exciting to share stuff. I'll have some spotlight time to where I'm, spotlighting different readers and different things or experiences or stories that you have and in your life. I'm not making this better life like, oh, this is a mission that we're doing to try to be like Anthony. No. Seriously, the Better Dad Bulletin is all about like, these are things that I've found that I've tried that work really well. And I've found them and learned them from other people. And hopefully we'll have a good community that learns from this stuff too and shares, but also shares their own experiences of like, hey, this is what I tried that works really well. And it's not about, hey, I know and I have it figured out, because I don't. That's actually why I want to do this, is because I want to spend more time trying to figure out how to be a better dad. So that's what it's about. So subscribe to the Better Dad Bulletin. You can find that. I'll have it in the links, all that good stuff. But come say hi. Give big love to X-Men and Divine Dialogues.
Let's go. Dude, thank you for coming on. I mean, I know you would have because you're my uncle, but you do genuinely have so much. And always, I feel like, even though there's like I don't know what would be the word, like a difference in all this just life seasonal stuff, you always find a way to pour into me. And now I get to share the being poured into with other people. So I'm really grateful for that. And you guys, please go follow him, go subscribe, like all his stuff, show some love. and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, like and subscribe this one too. Don't forget
Yes.
that. Leave a comment. But I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Yes. Much love. Thanks.